My first job was a contract. It ended and they didn't renew it. They promised to call me when something turns up, but they never called. I guess nothing turned up. I couldn't afford the rent to my apartment, so I moved in with my boyfriend. I didn't have anyone to rely on but him. I enjoy living on my own, however, I was so financially strapped that I had to move in with him. I stayed home with my boyfriend for 6 months before I had a new job. Just a year after my new job, the pandemic hit. We were sent home and were never called again. That was around May 2020. I was home going up and down looking for something else to do, but nothing was working for me. I started delivering food for people, but at the end of the month it wasn't worth it. I relied on the assistance of my boyfriend, and if it wasn't for him, I would be homeless and go hungry, and I appreciated his support until one day I had a call for an interview. I attended and delivered. They told me they were going to call in a week's time. I couldn't wait to break the news to my boyfriend. When I told my boyfriend that I got a job, he was happy for me. He made a comment that took me aback for a second. He said, "Now you can help contribute your part." I felt offended by that comment because I thought he was supporting me out of the goodness of his heart. And the job was not guaranteed. What if I didn't get it? Then I would have the guilt that he wasn't supporting me out of the willingness of his heart. But I wasn't going to let that damp my spirit. A week later, their call didn't come. I called the HR. "I've been waiting for your call." She asked my name and I told her. She said, "Oh, I was supposed to call you yesterday, but something happened, and I forgot. I was going to call you today. You have been shortlisted for another round of interviews. When are you available?" I answered, "I'm available today or tomorrow or any day. In fact, any day you want me to come, I will be available. I'm not engaged." So, the following day, I went to see them. We talked about salary and talked about strategies. They dug deeper into my background, and I opened up to them in a special way. They sensed my eagerness for the job and saw how desperate I was. They told me, "We will call you. A week by this time, you'll have a call from us." 3 days later they called, "Congratulations. You've been offered the job." I jumped high up in the sky and fell prostrate on the floor in gratitude to God. It's been 2 good years, God. Thank you for another opportunity. I went for my appointment letter and the salary was even more than what I negotiated for. That increased the feeling of joy in my heart. I was given 2 weeks to start working. I came home, bought a new dress, and learned things online to help me deliver on the job. 2 weeks later, I was in my office, ready to deliver. The HR came in. She said, "Follow me. Let's go and meet the general manager." Like a lamb being led to the altar of sacrifice, I followed her. Immediately I saw his face. I recognized him. He was part of the panel that did the interview. The guy on the left. I took a particular interest in him because he was very nice to me. He asked the easiest questions, and he smiled a lot. When my words weren't coming, he threw the words at me, and I caught on to them. I remember thinking, this guy is single-handedly winning me this job. I didn't see him during the second interview, but that was okay. In his office, he smiled and shook my hand. "Welcome to the team. We believe in your capability. That's why we've brought you on board. The talking is over now, show us what you're capable of." I courteously answered, "I won't disappoint you. I will deliver just as it's required of me." I don't report to him, but he took a special interest in helping me settle. I remember asking a colleague, "Is the GM always this nice?" He answered, "He likes to be involved, but he can be very stern and demanding. You're new here, that's why. Enjoy until the newness in you fades away. Then the pressure will come." After I got the job, things started getting tense around the house between me and my boyfriend because I wasn't home cleaning and cooking for him like I used to. I found any excuse to leave early so I will make a good impression at my new job. I will go to the GM's office in the morning to greet him. I will go there again in the evening to say goodbye. I gave him my number and showed him where I live because it came up in one of our conversations. And then the calls started coming. The messages kept dropping in. It wasn't about the messages or the text messages that piqued my concern, but the times he sent them. I will be spending time with my boyfriend, and he would be wondering who I was texting. Would I tell him it was about work? He would question what kind of work assignment do I have to do by that time. The GM didn't have a barrier. If I sought to create them, he would jump over them and come right in. I knew what he wanted from the tone of his voice and the texture of his messages. He said, "Can I come and visit one of these days?" I answered, "I live with my boyfriend." He didn't mind that I had a boyfriend, he insisted that we could hang out around my neighborhood. I was worried about it, but I felt like I couldn't say no. He asked for direction, and I sent him a Google map of my place. Guess what? He came to visit me in the evening. My boyfriend was getting ready to go to bed, so I told him that I was going to the store. I came outside and entered his car and we drove away. I wasn't properly dressed, but he didn't care. He drove until we were completely out of my neighborhood. We ended up at a food joint that looked like he visits there a lot. He bought me food and drink and we talked for the rest of the night. He brought me closer to my home. Before I got out of the car he kissed me. I was a little shy. I saw him as my boss. I called him Mr. I was very vocal around him, but I lost my voice immediately after that. He asks me if I would come to his house after work. I told him, "We will talk about it when I come to the office." We continued chatting after he had left. I laid out my fears and told him about the concerns I have because I already have a boyfriend. He said that he could be my boyfriend if I want. I asked, "Do you want a serious relationship with me, or you just want to have fun with me?" He said he wanted something serious. Something that can lead to marriage. I asked, "I don't know much about the company policies regarding relationships. Is it allowed?" He answered, "Yeah, it's allowed as far as it doesn't affect your work and mine." I asked again, "And you're sure that you're single? There's no other girl in your life, especially girls from the office?" He answered, "There's no one. You should have been here to read my lips. I'm as single as Adam before Eve." The following day I broke up with my boyfriend and relocated to a new apartment. I said yes to him the following week. It continued until one day a lady in the office approached me and said, "It seems you're the new favorite, huh?" I didn't understand her question, but I smiled thinking she would elaborate. She didn't. I pressed her for answers, but she wouldn't go beyond what she said. That weekend after work, my boss took me to his place, and I spent the weekend with him. He had a typical bachelor's apartment where there was everything but nothing essential. Common cooking utensils he didn't have. I believed in his single status and fell deeper that day. On Monday when I went to work, that same lady came to my desk again looking at me like I'd stolen something. I said, "Jessica, if you have something to tell me, just go ahead and stop acting weird around me. You're making me uncomfortable." She said, "We are not going to use office hours to discuss that. If he won't take you home after work, then we can talk." I was with her after work. She said, "You're new here. This is just your second month. You should have asked around before doing certain things. You're not the only girl he's doing this to. I can count about 5 ladies. The one whose position you're occupying now left because of this same situation with the boss." She didn't listen to us. In the end, she lost. Of all the 5 women I know, there's only one woman who survived and she's still working here. That's the HR who held your hand and sent you to him. The rest left. Don't let him make you feel that you're special. No, you're not. Jessica. Why didn't you tell me earlier? If you told me that very day when you made that statement, I wouldn't have been in this mess. What were you waiting for? I was waiting for you to ask. You didn't ask. I came because I like your innocence and your free spirit around here. I had already slept with him, but I told myself, it's not too late to pull away. I started giving him excuses. I refused his calls and didn't respond to his messages. I don't report to him, so I stopped going to his office. One day he came to my desk and asked me to see him in his office. He said, "You've started listening to gossip, right? Don't believe everything you're told because they are not true. I love you and I want to start a life with you. I said, I'm not listening to anyone. I just don't feel right about it. We go out there and do all that and come and pretend around here? That's what is bothering me. I'm pulling the plug so I can concentrate on my work. We had this conversation 2 months ago, but this man continues to chase me around. At some point, I wanted to believe him. I went to Jessica again. Are you sure of what you told me? He seems genuine. She showed me text messages between herself and the boss. He took it on her, but she was smarter than I was. She said no to him and stood on her ground. My respect for her went up. She did what I couldn't do. I have the facts to argue against him, but unfortunately for me, I can't name Jessica and I can't bring her into the frame of our argument. Whenever I tell him I'm not the only one he's doing this to and he asks for evidence, I'm not able to provide it. He has been coming. He gets angry with me unnecessarily at work. He piles pressure on me only to call in the night and apologize. This work is good. It's solving all the problems in my life. I don't want to lose it, but he also doesn't want to lose me. He said I'm too good to let go. He hadn't met a well-mannered girl like me, and he would do everything to have me back in his life. I started to pull away from him. This time I was hell-bent of following the Jessica plan, but unfortunately for me it didn't work out the way I planned. I was called into HR, and they told me that they would let me go for performance issue. I felt sick to my stomach cause this was a shock to me. I asked the HR lady if it was because of him that I was getting let go, and she wouldn't respond. Can you believe this lady called the security on me and they walked me out? It was so embarrassing. I wanted to file a lawsuit for harassments, but I haven't saved enough money. I just got a new apartment, and I can only afford my next month rent. I have called my ex-boyfriend to see if he would take me back, but he wouldn't respond to my calls.
Obviously, what happened to this lady was unfortunate, and nobody, man or woman, should feel uncomfortable or unsafe at their workplace. But it goes without saying that what goes around comes around. She needed financial support and her boyfriend was there for her. When she got a job and was in a position to pitch in, she turned around and said she thought that he was doing it out of his own heart. As a man, if you're in a relationship with a woman and she feels like you don't deserve her, she rationalizes the reason why she's in a relationship with you. In her mind, the reason why she was with him is because of the financial support. When her financial condition changed, she had no use for his financial support, so the relationship was over. See, most women, not all women, most women in a relationship with a man considers their income theirs. However, they consider the income of the man as belonging to the family. Which is why if a man is thinking about bringing a woman into his life as a girlfriend or a wife, especially when he's trying to move in with a girlfriend or a wife, if you're doing the financial calculation, you should not account for her financial contribution. Otherwise, you'll be disappointed. It's better when a man is trying to get married or when you get into a relationship, a long-term relationship, to make sure that you do not depend on the financial income of the woman. You assume that you are going to be the sole provider, even if you are not going to be the sole provider, because it's not a good look, it's not a good financial standpoint to depend on the woman's contribution, because it's just, women are not built like that. And as a man, you have to take on your responsibility and account for whatever situation that's going to happen. Another lesson that you can draw from this is the initial frame when you start a relationship with a woman is very important. For instance, the frame control. If your frame is that in the relationship dynamics that you are going to be the provider, it's very important to add other things to the initial frame instead of just being the provider. So if you get into a relationship with a woman, make sure that the only thing that you provide for that relationship is not just financial. There has to be other things that you bring towards the relationship, things like your personality or being adventurous. Otherwise, she's just going to see you as a financial support. that's not a good way to stay in a relationship or maintain a relationship. The attraction has to be deeper than just financial support, which is why attracting women with your personality and other things other than just the financial aspect is important. I mean, it's okay to start off with materialistic because most women are attracted to shiny objects, but you have to add other layers like your personality so the relationship would have more depth. Another aspect that we would like to focus on this story is how easy it is for some men to use their workplace as a hunting ground for women. And this is partly easy for them to do because most women are attracted to men with authority, men with status, which is why around 85% of affairs starts in a workplace. So I have this article on Daily Mail that I would like to share. Some of the points made in this article is women have revealed exactly why they had an affair with their bosses. One woman said that she had a revenge sex with her manager, then quit. Another got drunk at a Christmas party and ended up in bed with her boss. But one young employee is now intending to marry her boss after their affair. So the article starts with, late night at office, high stress, and low quarters. It's a recipe for workplace affair, if pop culture is to be believed. But some people do have affair with colleagues, and now some of them have revealed exactly why they slept with someone from work. 5 women told Women's Health their different reasons for banging the boss, and some of the consequences afterwards. One woman, a 33-year-old Michelle, said that even though she knew her boss was a player, she slept with him because he was really hot. She was quoted as saying, "My boss had a reputation of being a womanizer," she said. The rumor around the office is that he slept with at least 5 employees. I kind of knew what I was getting myself into before we actually hooked up. I knew it would only be a one-time thing, and it would never result to anything serious. Another woman, Liz, also had a one-night stand with her boss, all thanks to imbibing too much at the office Christmas party. She said it was a drunken mess, and they were both so embarrassed it took a year before things got back to normal at work. A third woman, Carrie, admitted she also been engaging in office hookups, though she wasn't embarrassed about it. She said she has been sleeping with her boss for 2 years, and it keeps her life, and I quote, interesting. But not everyone has good intention when hooking up with their bosses. Debbie, 31, told Women's Health that she had revenge sex with a manager. She was quoted as saying, "I figure it would be a lot of fun to sleep with him and then quit because he's super hot. 2 weeks after the first and only time we hooked up, I quit." Close quote. But according to one woman, sleeping with the boss can have a happy ending. After a lot of flirting from when we first met, she kissed her boss and they have been secretly together ever since. According to statistics, up to 36% of people have an affair with a coworker. That's the end of the article. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please make sure you put down your comment below. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you. Have a good day. Checking out.